I am so excited for this session. So excited,
Likewise.
Sam. So I'm doing great.
Likewise.
How are you?
Likewise. I'm so excited too. So general excitement level for me is like here, just as a baseline. I'm here today. You can't even see it in the screen. So I haven't even I'm starting the Red Bull. I haven't even done the Red Bull yet. So this is just all because of this.
Okay. I feel you.
um,
Yeah, I feel you.
yes. Nice gift. I love this. Welcome everybody. So glad to have you here. If you are joining us again from the last session, welcome back. I'm so honored that we were worthy of your attention a second time. If you're joining us for the first time, I'm Sam Chandler. I lead the commercial customer success team here at Kustomer. And I'm here with one of the most awesomest people in the whole world, my involuntary life coach, Audrey Weber. Audrey, would you like to do a quick introduction of who you are?
Sure, Sam. Thanks. Hi,
No
everyone.
pressure.
As Sam mentioned, Audrey Weber here. I lead customer success. I am lucky enough to have Sam be a part of my team here at Customer, and I have led CX teams for, in a variety of capacities for about 22 years. So again, super excited to talk about today's topic.
Yay! And before we get into it, I want to make sure that all of you know that this is not a cheerocracy. So please feel free in chat it up. We can see it. We can hear you. Feel free to add your name, your company, your title, whatever you want to tell us about yourself. Feel free to add it into the chat. Also, I created a fun breakout question for us, like an icebreaker. If you want, I'm kind of proud of this. So I would love for you to write into the chat think about your most favorite manager ever. What made them so awesome? Whatever it is, there's no right answer. I would love to hear everybody's thoughts on that in the chat. So feel free to do that. And then at the 30-minute mark here, we're going to transition into a breakout room. And the reason that we're doing that, just all you have to do is literally just hold on for the ride. The reason that we're doing that is so that we can have a much more face-to-face interactive time with you. And I know some people are like, I'm not getting on camera, and that's okay. That's fine. We're on camera enough for the both of you, for everybody, so don't worry. But if you do want to get on camera as you ask questions of Audrey and myself, please feel free to do so. That's why I'm moving over to the breakout room. So with that, we'll do 30 minutes of discussion between us, and then we have slated about 15-ish to 20-ish minutes for questions from all of you. We have until the top of the hour, and we did that just in case we got a whole bunch of questions. We didn't want to run out of time, but we'll see. We might be able to give you 15 minutes back in your day. So with all of that fun official stuff, Audrey, back to you. So we were talking, Mom, we were talking earlier this week, and you said, I am so excited about this topic. This topic is near and dear to my heart. Tell us why. Talk to us about why.
Yeah, well, I mean, because your manager can make or break your experience and set the tone for your career, years and years and years of career. So like the ability to nurture, the ability to nurture talent, impactful, not is impactful for, the business, of course, because I mean, happy employees equal happy customers. Oftentimes, there's a direct correlation there. But then we spend so much time at work that I think, the ability to, effectively nurture talent, sets the stage for people to be really successful and then pay it forward, right? So that's why I was just so thrilled to talk about this.
I completely agree. And Rainey, I see you. I see you in the chats, and I am honored. I didn't plant Rainey in there, but it is honestly like as an extension of what you just said, Audrey. I think Rainey is a perfect example of what you just said. You and I had this amazing connection the first time I got to be led by you, and then I got to take all of the goodness that I literally stole from you, and then I apparently it worked. So I guess whatever you're doing there, keep doing it. And thank you. But yeah, I completely agree. We talked so much about the role itself and all of the career development and things like that, but sometimes it's just those simple the simple human empathetic things. So awesome, good way to kick it off. Yeah, so last week we talked about capacity planning, head counts, calculators, all of these very official types of tools. It's a great segue into, okay, so we've used your amazing calculator, we got the head count, hooray. Now it's a good segue into hiring. How do you approach hiring? What do we do? Please tell us, what do we do?
I love that question. So, I mean, I think, I try to be pretty methodical about this, and obviously there are going to be some like intangibles that we're going to, that you're going to want to incorporate into the process. But I mean, once you get that head count, I mean, I think it's really about identifying, okay, what's the profile that you're hiring for, and then I think if you kind of double click into that, you look at, okay, what are the outcomes that we're trying to drive within the business? So whether that's let's say that is maybe it's upsell related, or maybe it's delivering a really white glove customer service and, driving CSAT, or combination of those things. I mean, I think we start again, not to pull too much on last week, but start again with like, what are the outcomes we're trying to drive, and anchor your plans in that data. And then I think from there, if you don't already have a hiring profile built, you'll want to do that, because I think it's way more efficient and effective to have a hiring plan that a structured hiring plan that you can utilize, and then kind of iterate as the needs of the business change. Just because you want to ensure that you're hiring top talent. And one of the ways that you can hire top talent is through a consistent experience. I mean, kind of similar application to, our delivering a great customer experience as well. Part of that also is making the hiring process as clear and as efficient as possible for candidates. So I think, you've got your KPIs that you're trying to reach, developing a hiring profile that addresses some of the skills, maybe kind of hard and soft skills that you're trying to kind of test for or hire for, and then building a plan to support getting candidates in pipe, and candidates with those attributes in pipe, and delivering a consistent experience there.
Yeah, you touched on several great things there. The hiring profile, absolutely. That is so key. Audience, raise your hand if you've been in a situation where you can tell the hiring profile and the job description have not been updated in like 5 years for the role that you are asked to hire for. Yeah, it's so key. Like, thinking through the finding the person that fits kind of the profile, the skill sets that you need for the business at that time. I have found that so many job descriptions that I've been handed, they're like, here, this is the job description we use. And I'm like, are you getting candidates that align with what you need? Because this doesn't make any sense. And so I would highly recommend, there's tools out there like Textio. I will add this in. This is, I didn't plan on doing I'm not sponsored by Textio. I should be, but this is such a great tool for me to do exactly what you just said. So I run all of my job descriptions through a tool like Textio and any types of guides, things like that. And basically, it helps you understand the wording, the verbiage, and does it align with the profile that you're looking for? So for example, I did this and it was for it wasn't an entry level job, but it was like a few rungs up from that. So you've got an entry level job, and then I run it through a program like this, and it tells me, oh, by the way, like the wording you're using is aligned to people that are like in their midway through their career, like management level, and it's usually aligned to folks that of a certain demographic and things like that. So really opening up your words that you're using and the tools that you're using. Use AI for something good. Why don't we?
I mean,
So highly recommend.
I like love that, and I'm going to put that in my toolkit. I am more old. I'm probably a little bit more old school, because I think what I typically like, what I've done is, started with the folks that are like, started with our like with top performers that are already on the team, kind of isolating like what are they doing that wins, and then pulling them into the process to help write the job description to like hire their peers. So, as we think about like, again, ways to like nurture talent and, make sure we're keeping our top performers, kind of, interested and gratified and, stretching their skill set, like getting them involved in the hiring process, whether it's kind of back of the house, like figuring out that job profile, or getting them into the interview process is, one of the things that we can do to, keep them fresh and keep that JD fresh as well.
I love that. I'm going to put a pin in that note right there, because we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But I completely agree with this. It also makes everybody feel like they have ownership of the team, because I've done the same thing when I was like, why is this job description just not getting the candidates that we're looking for with the skill sets we're looking for? And literally everybody on the team was like, I mean, have you looked at the job description? We don't know what half of these things are. And I'm like, oh, that's a good point. So we literally tore it down. I said, we're starting with a blank canvas. What do you do on a day-to-day basis? And it was a super fun activity. And it's one of the things I'm most proud of as leader. So completely agree. The other thing that I want to ask you about. So something that, I think you and I have talked about, I like to build Megazord teams. And for those of you who are not as nerdy as I am, a Megazord is the thing from Power Rangers that all of the Power Rangers built when they got together with their individual Dinozords. So stand back for the coolness. But yeah, basically, like, in terms of teams, you have the individuals, and then you have, okay, what skill sets do we need to round out this team? How do you approach that? Like when you're incorporating top performers in, are you looking for the same profile that they have, or like, how do you determine maybe we need to mix these skill sets up?
Yeah. I mean, so I think it's kind of a delicate balance, right? I mean, so I like to identify, I think I touched on it, like kind of hard and soft skills, right? And these are kind of I'll just say like non-negotiables. Now, where people are going to index across those skills varies, right? So, I mean, I need people to be, I think in terms of like soft skills, I think is a little bit harder to measure. So I'll use those as examples. Curiosity, compassion, and creativity. Those are kind of the three that might get like my three C's that I look for, because we've identified that those are common threads regardless of tenure or book of business experience that kind of tie top performers together. And then, the hard skills, around technical acumen or, like tool sets, comfort around, a specific, tech stack. I mean, those things are, I think, a little bit easier to define. And I think, so I've got the ability, so I've got, stated skills, and kind of a bucket of them. And I, ensure that the hiring process tests across those skills. I have that artifact, that kind of, I'll just say like interview artifact, that will kind of carry through with the hire. And I think as long as they're as long as they're exhibiting some level of aptitude within all of those skills, I'm comfortable with a variety of strengths within that. Um, yeah.
Yeah. It reminds me, I have a similar way of looking at it. I think of it in terms of basically four pillars, the four pillars of knowledge. So I look at my current team and I think, okay, so one pillar of knowledge is the product that you're selling, whatever that is, whatever company, if you have knowledge there. Another one is the individual role. So like the org, in this case, customer experience, customer success. And then market segment. You know, is it a commercial? Are you good with like super high level enterprise, tiny startups, whatever the case may be? And then the other one, what is the other one? I always forget it, and this is ridiculous. There's another one that's really awesome in there, and I'm forgetting it right now. Oh, the industry. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. The industry itself. So like if your product, for example, customer sits within customer experience. So if I have a candidate that knows a whole lot about customer experience, but you know none of the others, that is a pillar of knowledge. So if I can find somebody that has two of those things, I'm like, ooh, this is a good candidate. I can pump them full of knowledge of the other things. And so I find that if you have a candidate that has knowledge in all four of those things, they're going to get really bored really, really quickly. So maybe it's not the best role for them. But yeah, okay. Well, we still have a few minutes of our discussion, and I want to kick it over to, okay. So you've found an awesome person, you've hired them, and now you're developing them. And so this is a great time to introduce our downloadable. This is not going to be a secret to some of you because I've made some of you use this, and I stole this from Audrey. This is.
We stole it from someone else, to be clear.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. I would love if you would take a minute as I figure out, as I remember how to share my screen and show the downloadable. All of you are getting the instructions for Audrey's famous motivational pie chart exercise. But Audrey, if you want to go over this amazing tool and how you have used it, please do.
Yeah, sure. So I think, so first off, this comes from Jennifer Dolsky. She, I think, is now a management consultant, and it was passed to me by old head of HR. So this is like had a lot of traction. But I think I use this right out of the gate with new hires, and the reason I use this is because we already know that they have the skills to do the job well. But I think, what doesn't necessarily get a double click during the interview process is what motivates people to work. And I think, I learned this the hard way in one of my earlier leadership opportunities. I just assumed everybody came to work for the same reasons I did, and I'm a very like values oriented person, want to make an impact, and I was not getting my messaging and my feedback wasn't resonating with one of my employees. And finally I asked, why do you work here? and
what was their face like? Oh.
Yeah, well, and what I learned is, we got to the bottom of it, and their motivation was completely different from mine. And so this tool is a maybe 10 or 15-minute activity, and basically asks the individual to write down everything that motivates them to wake up in the morning and, sign onto their computer and or come into the office, whether that is learning about new things, being able to see people, in real life, money, you name it. You can run the gamut. The list can be as long as you'd like. And then basically you give each reason a percentage weighting in terms of importance. It should add up to 100. And then from there, you basically color code those things according to how satisfied you are. So, if I say, well, in the case of the why do you work here person, we went through this exercise and there was one motivating factor: compensation. That was it. His entire like 100% or was compensation. And that really helped me frame how I talk about professional development, how I give feedback around how he's engaging with peers or how he's engaging with customers. And honestly, like it was a it was a success plan, at least a foundational success plan as to how we were going to work together and the expectations that we had with each other. And and I've made it a practice for the last decade, and it's something that I actually revisit with my my team members on a quarterly basis in line with their professional development plans.
I first off, I just love that you're like, why do you work here? Sitting here thinking like,
what? Like, how can I ask this question differently? And then finally, I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to cut to the chase.
Caution to the wind. No, and honestly, I love that example because so often when I've done this with team members, I can tell they're timid about putting money on there, and so I always make a point to say, if money is what gets you going in the morning, great. I just need to know that, because if like so many times you have an opportunity of like, okay, I've got a little bucket of promotion money and a little bucket of this over here. Like, how do I divvy up funds? Somebody might just be like, you know what? I care about title. Like, that's the most important. So that like you can kind of pull a lever over here that maybe gives somebody a little more title, a little more money. They're all levers. So
that's right.
This exercise is good. I also, I will just tell you, like, the reason that it hits home for me is because it made me realize also what I was here for. Like, why am I here? And then, realize the areas that I needed more fulfillment in, or like, those times that in your gut, you're like, something's off. And yeah, it was great. So
I think it's a great exercise for both parties. And like a lot of people, there's something very powerful about putting like pen to paper or putting something in like a Excel chart, Excel sheet or something to just like really kind of codify like this is what compels me to do my best work.
Absolutely. And it like, I think it also speaks to the fact that, AI might be taking over our world in like 6 months or less or whatever, but at the end of the day, we are still humans, and it's not just a factory of like, input, hiring profile, spit out perfect candidate works and then gets senior promote. Like we're all humans, and like, it's going to take us to different places. And this helps, what people managers are supposed to do, which is, give people the give and take of, I'm giving you my time. You're paying me for my time and expertise. And out of that agreement, I'm going to get this other thing out of that, which is, development and satisfaction. So,
totally.
I love it. And again, feel free also. Oh, Michelle, you like it. Yay. We've got another one, Audrey. Yes.
Amazing.
So the other question that I want to ask you about is so let's say you've got an amazing performer and they get promoted to a senior role. I don't know about you. The question I have always got is, oh my God, this is so awesome. What do I do now? Which is like somebody saying, I'm so grateful that you see this in me, but they see it as like, okay, now there's a different expectation of what I'm doing. I have found sometimes managers don't have that next level, and they literally say, just keep doing what you're doing. So basically the promotion is a reward for the work done, but then there's not thought into the growth that is supposed to happen with that. How do you address that?
Yeah, so I think like tactically, you're kind of, as a leader, I think you're setting yourself up for, a lot of kind of heartache. If you don't have, if you don't have a plan for those, for those folks that you're promoting. One of the things that accompanies like a job description and, building out an org chart should be a role competency framework. So, what are the things, we talk about those skills, or values, and I think, you would have to align with your company's kind of philosophy there, but like defining what the outcomes or outputs look like by title or by job level, and making that visible to your employees is really, really important. I mean, I think you've got the motivational pie chart, and then you've got a role competency framework or definitions, and then you've got the professional development plan. And I think those three kind of complement each other in terms of like, hey, I know what, I have this agreement between the two of us in terms of how you want to be recognized. I have an agreement between you and the business, like, and us as business partners as to what's expected, from the business. And then I've got your professional development plan, which is what you want out of your career. And I think all of those kind of triangulate to, set expectations.
Yeah, I completely agree. And again, I know that we're about to transition over to the breakout room in about 3 minutes. So FYI, everybody, if you want to add your questions into the chat now, you can. If not, we can wait until we move over there. As we're transitioning over, the question I would love to transition with is what happens when you have somebody that is about to fly the coop? As in, like, they're a top performer, you love having them on the team, but either they're not getting whatever agreement, I guess from the agreement, the transaction, they're like, I need more out of this, or they're like, this just isn't me anymore. How do you handle that? Are you
I mean,
okay with it? Do you get
yes,
territorial?
yes, yes. There is nothing I love more than helping to mold this amazing CX, CX employee, and customer experience advocate, and someone who's just so great at their role, and passionate about it, and wants to pursue new things. That means I have, an ally. That means we have an ally elsewhere in the business, and someone who I know is going to be successful, wherever they land. Now, if they're not getting what they need out of the role, I think that's a slightly different conversation. And I think that's when we revisit motivational pie chart, professional development summary, et cetera. But like high performers wanting to leave the team, please fly, go. I mean, and thank you for your service. I think that's honestly one of the best things that can happen for high performing, should high performing employees choose to do that.
I see it the same way. I've worked with leaders before that like they want to hold them tight. They want to hold them close.
Of
And
course,
that's
they're like the most
yeah.
valuable assets, but that means they're going to be valuable assets for you elsewhere. And you have an opportunity to train and mold another passionate, CX professional.